March 12, 1945. Just outside Los Baños, Luzon, Philippines. Dawn arrives damp and colorless, the air heavy with wet ash and rice husks. A thin mist clings to low-lying sugarcane, each blade bending under droplets of dew. Japanese women, prisoners of war, line a dirt road once used as a narrow footpath between fields, their bare ankles swelling from hunger and long marches. Sachiko Mori, 24, former factory clerk, leans slightly forward, wrists pale beneath her threadbare sleeves. Yumi Tanaka, 19, folds her hands inside sleeves too thin for the chill, watching the grey light creep along muddy ruts. Silence rules. Rumors of transfers and disappearances have made the women careful, eyes darting toward distant trucks. Olive-painted army vehicles emerge through fog, engines rumbling softly, tires cutting shallow tracks into dirt. No one shouts, no orders are called. A crate slides from the nearest truck with a dull thump. Enamel cups, plain, stacked in precise rows, rest on the ground. The objects are domestic in appearance, almost comforting, yet their presence makes stomachs tighten. Steam rises faintly, fog curling around rims like whispered warnings. A guard lifts one, sets it carefully on the earth, then steps back, boots crunching gravel. The women hesitate, breath visible in the chill. Eyes shift from cup to cup. Each identical, each unfamiliar. Sachiko notices the faint enamel sheen, chipped in tiny spots, rims slightly warped. Hunger claws at her abdomen, but fear outweighs appetite. She imagines commands, separation, punishment, yet nothing happens. The cups sit like questions, heavy with unspoken intent. Yumi adjusts her scarf, hands trembling. They exchange cautious glances, a silent acknowledgement. This morning is different. Minutes stretch, light rising, revealing the full row of trucks. Another crate slides down, more cups. Steam rises, lingering, twisting in the cold air. Keiko Fujita, 43, moves first. She bends slowly, lifts a cup with two missing fingers wrapped in gauze, and breathes over its rim. The aroma of thin rice porridge drifts, muted but familiar. She sips, hesitation melting. Others follow, one by one. Enamel clinks lightly. Heat transfers. Uncertainty softens. The women begin to trust the pause, not yet the intention. Time lumbers forward. The cups remain, unclaimed, repeating their quiet presence. The trucks idle, soldiers shadowing without action. Sachiko scratches a tiny mark into the side of her cup. A private tally of minutes survived without expectation fulfilled. Light shifts across the road, catching on enamel and dew alike. Silence becomes a kind of signal, a faint agreement that this day is unhurried, unpredicted. And in that silence, the women start to imagine something impossible. A dawn where nothing is taken away. The same morning stretches on, fog lifting slowly from sugarcane fields, revealing trucks more clearly, engines quieting with a low hiss. No weapons rise, no commands crack through the mist. Metal ticks faintly as the trucks cool. Enamel cups clink softly as soldiers arrange them into careful rows. Hunger gnaws at wrists and stomachs alike. Sachiko Mori's hands shake, trembling not only from malnutrition but from the weight of expectation. She recalls words whispered months before by another prisoner. Kindness often precedes action. The meaning was abstract then. Now it feels dangerous. The women wait, eyes flicking between cups and soldiers, reading intention in motionless bodies. Keiko Fujita, her hands scarred, steps forward, bending slowly, careful not to jostle the stack of enamel. She lifts one cup. Inside is rice porridge, thin and lightly seasoned. Steam rises, curling around her face, mingling with fog. The smell is ordinary, domestic, almost nostalgic. She sips, hesitates, then another, steadying her breath against the warmth. Nothing changes. No shout, no command, only the quiet, persistent presence of food, mundane yet impossible. One by one, the women follow. Yumi Tanaka lifts a cup with timid fingers, feeling heat creep through enamel. Hands meet the smooth curve, thumbs brushing rims. Sachiko notices a small chip along her cup's edge. The weight of holding, the warmth, begins to return sensation to numb limbs. Conversation is still muted. Eyes meet briefly, reflecting surprise and relief. A shared understanding grows. No immediate threat, no sudden loss. Each sip becomes an act of reclaiming, a tiny assertion of being alive, not just surviving. Soldiers remain at a distance. Private Daniel Reyes, 27, moves quietly among them, refilling cups from a large metal pot, ladle dipping carefully, pour measured. His eyes avoid direct contact, but movement is precise, unobtrusive. The rhythm of repeated refills becomes steady, predictable. The women adjust, noticing patterns, weighing sips, debating quietly among themselves whether to drink fast or slow, safe or indulgent. Repetition lends comfort. They have come to anticipate the small, exact actions rather than fear them. By mid-morning, the cups are passed, emptied and refilled, moving from hand to hand in a silent choreography. The enamel becomes familiar, a portable reassurance. Steam rises steadily, dissipating into the growing sunlight. Feet press into soft earth, hands clutch cups, bodies lean against crates. Each action, however minimal, is layered with a fragile trust. The day stretches, unhurried, undisturbed, yet the women know instinctively this is not yet the conclusion. The cup has arrived as a question, not an answer, and it will remain, shaping expectation, defining pause. But this was not the moment they would remember forever. The true significance is only beginning to imprint itself into muscles, hands, and memory. Each lift of the enamel, each careful sip, carries weight beyond nourishment, beyond warmth. Time becomes measured in the simple act of holding, sharing, returning. Eyes trace rims, hands meet rims, and subtle communication flows between women and soldiers alike. No words, no explanations, only the cup, unchanged, yet transforming in the quiet, teaching presence. The trucks remain, idle but present. The women sit, backs pressed to crates, bodies warming slightly, anxiety tempered by routine. Breathing slows, fingers linger on enamel. Sachiko marks another tally on her cup, small lines scored into surface, marking minutes survived in suspended expectation. Yumi traces steam with a fingertip, faint smile flickering. Silence is no longer oppressive, it is intentional, a subtle act of containment. Enamel becomes bridge, measure, and promise. The morning stretches toward noon, unresolved yet strangely steady. Each cup passing through hands that have learned to trust pause itself. By late morning, March 12, 1945, presses on. The sun climbs higher, burning off mist and damp from the sugarcane fields. Flies buzz lazily across the dirt road, landing briefly on crates and boots. A dog barks in the distance, its echo bouncing off low hills. The Japanese women sit on the ground, backs resting against wooden crates, enamel cups beside them like fragile markers of truce. Their clothing is threadbare, sleeves fraying, hair stringy from weeks of minimal washing. Sachiko Mori adjusts her thin scarf, eyes tracing the rims of each cup, hands trembling slightly. Hunger persists, gnawing, but the absence of immediate threat tempers panic. The soldiers maintain distance. Private Daniel Reyes, R27, moves quietly among them, ladle in hand. He refills cups from a large metal pot, steam rising, clinging to wrists and scarves. His hands are steady, careful, deliberate. No words pass, only nods, and the faint metallic clink of enamel against ladle. The women watch, calculating. Each refill is a small reassurance, though none dare fully trust it. Small sounds, the rustle of sleeves, a clink of porcelain, soft murmur of hesitant breaths, fill the spaces left by silence. The women begin speaking softly among themselves, not of escape, not of hope. They avoid thoughts too large to carry, but of porridge, too thin, slightly scorched at the bottom, warm enough to burn tongues if hasty. They debate quietly, drink slowly or fast, use hands for stability, or rely on the cup alone. Each small decision restores agency. Tiny victories amid months of enforced compliance. Sachiko notes a faint chip in her enamel. She traces it with a fingertip, grounding herself. Hours stretch, trucks remain. Repetition unsettles them. Repetition implies intent. Blankets are unloaded without ceremony, set beside crates, not offered but placed. The cups are washed and returned, a ritual without explanation. Shadows shift across the road, sunlight sliding along edges of cups. The steam rises and fades, as if breathing with the women. They start to recognize patterns, understanding actions without needing language. The cup's presence becomes constant, neither threat nor gift, merely a measured, repeated fact. By nightfall, the women settle against crates, cups cooling beside them, breath clouds in the chilled evening, hands gripping enamel in unconscious ritual. Fear lingers, but its timing has altered. It no longer dictates movements. Small gestures, scraping rims with fingers, lifting cups, tracing cracks, anchor each woman to the moment. Eyes meet, a silent acknowledgement passing between Sachiko, Yumi, and Keiko. The cup has become more than container. It is pause, continuity, and promise. For the first time since arrival, absence of immediate harm is itself remarkable. The women do not speak of survival, only of measured shared acts. The quiet imposes structure. The day folds into night, shadows stretching across dirt and crates, enamel reflecting faint moonlight. The cup, cold now, lies beside each body, inert yet charged. It has marked a subtle shift, a recalibration of expectation. The real shock came later, though none know it yet. The cups have introduced a rhythm, a repetition, a small certainty in uncertainty. Each sip, each touch, each passing hand lays groundwork for days to follow. Silence, once oppressive, now allows small gestures, humanized moments, and trust to grow incrementally. The women fall asleep with cups near, a line of enamel holding years of anticipation in quiet equilibrium. March 13th, 1945. Same dirt road outside Los Baños, Philippines. Dawn arrives clear, the sky pale blue, light spilling evenly over sugarcane and ruts in the earth. Trucks appear exactly as before, engines low, olive paint dulled by dust and dawn. The women stand without prompting, sleeves folded over hands, scarves catching droplets from morning dew. Cups are placed, steaming gently, lined precisely along the ground. The porridge inside is thicker than yesterday, its aroma carrying faint traces of salt and rice, warm enough to catch noses before lips. Sachiko Mori feels a tension she cannot name. Yesterday was survival, today is repetition. Continuation implies expectation. Expectation implies endurance. Her fingers graze the rim of her cup, noting small imperfections, a hairline crack near the edge. Yumi Tanaka selects it deliberately, aware of the tiny imperfection. She sips, a little leaks onto fingers, warm and sticky. Embarrassment rises, then diminishes as instinct takes over. She licks it absent-mindedly. Comfort follows surprise. The cracked cup becomes ordinary in her grasp, yet loaded with subtle reassurance. Private Daniel Reyes moves along the line. His eyes flick toward Yumi's cup, recognition passing briefly. He replaces it silently, smooth motion, almost invisible. No acknowledgement, no explanation. Others notice but say nothing. Routine dictates attention. No questions are needed. Cups are passed, refilled, exchanged for water, for rice, then held simply in hand. Each woman scratches private marks into enamel, noting time, tallying survival, establishing small claims of personal space. Hours unfold predictably. Shade shifts across crates, light creeping along enamel rims. Conversation is measured, tactical. Who will wash cups? Who will refill water? Who will distribute porridge? Fear is now subordinate to planning. Hands grip rims, adjust heat, steady fingers. Bodies shift on earth, feeling small increments of power return. Repetition becomes framework for understanding. Action without words, a language formed from touch, weight, and timing. By late afternoon, cups are ordinary objects with extraordinary significance. Steam rises faintly, dissolving in sunlight. Hunger ebbs briefly with heat and rhythm. Women lean back, resting against crates, observing the precise choreography of trucks, soldiers, and cups. No explanations arrive. None are necessary. The day compresses small routines into a sustained pattern of presence and expectation. The trucks depart before sunset, leaving enamel behind, aligned neatly like markers of small victories. Hands linger, fingers trace cracks, rims, warmth. For the first time in months, the women argue, not about danger, but about mundane management. Who will wash? Who will refill? Who will preserve what is fragile yet essential? Small voices, negotiating survival, negotiating ritual. The cup, once a question, now structures daily rhythm, marking continuity amid uncertainty. August 1968, Yokohama, Japan. Summer heat presses into narrow streets, sweat clinging to shirts and collars, air thick with the scent of tar and incense from street shrines. Sachiko Mori, 47, sits at a desk in a textile office, fingers tracing fabric patterns with quiet precision. Her hands are calloused, stronger than the delicate palms of youth, evidence of decades of labor and care. Behind her, a cupboard waits, closed, yet containing an object she has carried across oceans and years. A chipped enamel cup, faint hairline, crack near its rim, wrapped carefully in cloth. The cup is ordinary, yet it anchors memory. On certain mornings, she pours tea into it. Steam rises, warm against her fingertips, curling into the air like soft smoke. The cup leaks slightly at the crack, a small imperfection that cannot be ignored, yet she drinks anyway, letting drops fall unnoticed onto the cloth beneath. Each sip carries more than tea. It carries years of silent mornings, fear tempered by the smallest gestures of care, hands steady, absence of harm realized incrementally. Across the city, Yumi Tanaka, 42, uses her own enamel cup as a pencil holder, ordinary pens filling it, yet she refuses to let anyone touch it. Its position on her desk is deliberate, private. Neither woman speaks of dawns or trucks. They do not recount the faces of guards or the crunch of gravel beneath boots. But when life tightens, when news becomes loud, when nights stretch long and thin, both reach for their enamel cups without conscious thought. Touching it restores rhythm, a minor act of command over fragile continuity. The cup has shifted from survival to ritual, from necessity to a talisman of patience, presence, and quiet endurance. Sachiko sometimes imagines the crack as a scar, a marker of continuity across time, of a moment when expectation did not result in loss. The memory is tactile, heat transferring from enamel to skin, smell of rice porridge rising in morning fog, hands trembling yet steady. Yumi's cup carries the same weight differently, as convenience, as routine, as silent witness. The ordinary object binds disparate lives across space and decades, connecting them through shared histories unspoken. In offices, homes, and quiet mornings, the cups endure. Neither woman explains their attachment. The cups themselves do not change. The world around them does. They witness repetition, minor annoyances, small triumphs, a drip here, a scratch there. Each imperfection is absorbed, forming layers of meaning. See you each morning when Sachiko lifts tea, warmth trickling through enamel to fingertips. She remembers what was taken and, more importantly, what was preserved. The memory is subtle but persistent. A hand wrapped around chipped metal can restore the sense of agency lost in months of confinement. The act of drinking, holding, passing through fingers quietly asserts presence against a backdrop of historical erasure. Time compresses in these micro-moments, creating invisible bridges across decades. Objects endure, not because of their intrinsic worth, but because humans choose to preserve them and act quietly with their continuity. The cups outlasted explanation. They became anchors, turning ordinary mornings into rituals of remembrance. Neither Sachiko nor Yumi narrates their significance aloud. They carry the weight silently, allowing touch and habit to encode meaning. In the enamel's chill, warmth, and small crack lies decades of unnoticed history, waiting to be recognized, waiting for reunion, waiting for understanding that requires no words. In stillness, the cups convey what memory alone cannot: endurance, presence, and quiet survival. Each morning, tea drifts in steam, a bridge from the past to the present. Each crack, chip, and imperfection records subtle victories of being, small acts of defiance and continuity. Across cities and years, the enamel endures, ordinary yet extraordinary, bridging lives that once trembled at dawn. They remind the holder that small acts, repeated and preserved, can become monumental. Time, distance, and age matter less than deliberate preservation. Hands wrapped around fragile metal, remembering quietly, faithfully, and without spectacle. October 1995. A small memorial hall near Los Baños. The air carries scent of rain-soaked wood and muted dust. Folding chairs line the floor. Survivors file in slowly, faces measured, no uniforms, no banners, only memories in posture and glance. Sachiko Mori arrives with her daughter, hand gripping small cloth bundle. Yumi Tanaka is already present, standing quietly near a table where objects have been placed. Letters yellowed with age, photographs curled at corners, one enamel cup cracked but visible under fluorescent light. No labels, no explanation. Recognition is subtle, slow, like two reflections aligning. They approach, tentative, eyes meet. The embrace is careful, deliberate, not hurried. Fingers brush, lingering on cloth and sleeve. Conversation is light, punctuated by faint laughter. Shared memories deferred, moments held carefully. Time has changed them. Hair streaked grey, posture altered, hands stronger yet lined, yet presence carries the weight of years, suspended between war and ordinary life. The enamel cup sits between them, ordinary and miraculous simultaneously. Private Daniel Reyes, now with grey hair and steady hands, stands nearby. He does not speak, he only observes, his gaze lingering on the cup. His face is neutral, but in eyes the reflection of decades passes. A soldier once young, moving silently, now witness to continuity. Others pass by, envelopes and photographs gently touched. The hall hums with quiet activity. Tea prepared, chairs adjusted, voices subdued. Sachiko lifts the cup, pouring tea into it carefully. Warm liquid spirals, rising steam mingling with memory. She hands it to Yumi, who takes it with fingers brushing the crack. Silence bridges decades. Daniel receives next, lifting it with cautious reverence, acknowledging unspoken connection. The cup feels heavier now, laden not with tea but with years carried, patience preserved, acts unrecorded in official history. Objects on tables are handled carefully. Some letters read, some photographs held, but the cup's presence dominates subtly, ordinary, fragile, essential. No explanation is given, none is necessary. The ritual, quiet and deliberate, communicates more than speech could capture. Survival, endurance, attention across decades, and the acknowledgement of moments once suspended in fear, now realized in deliberate care. Evening nears, the hall is still, light shifts across the enamel's surface, highlighting crack and sheen. Chairs are folded. People depart slowly, footsteps soft against wood floors. The cup remains at the table, central yet unclaimed. Memory holds it, bridges across geography and age, linking hands once trembling, now steady. Small gestures, lifting, pouring, passing, convey meaning without narrative, carrying forward the lessons of silence and attentiveness. The reunion is quiet, intimate, carefully moderated by years and distance. Each participant moves slowly, respecting weight of history and fragility of moment. The cup travels minimally, yet its impact is immense. Time has transformed the mundane into sacred object, ordinary into extraordinary by repetition and touch. The significance lies not in display, but in handling, in deliberate attention, in shared acknowledgement across generations. In this moment, silence becomes language. Enamel becomes connector, and hands become storytellers. No introductions are required, no speeches are necessary. Meaning exists in presence, in careful passing, in shared breath and touch. Objects endure not by accident, but by quiet decision and patient care. Tea warms the hands, warms the past, and links the present. Touch carries memory, continuity, and human connection beyond words. The day concludes with quiet departures, chairs folded, rain-scented air lingering, yet the cup remains central on the table. It has been passed, held, recognized, and now rests, undisturbed, a vessel of years, a witness to continuity, and a bridge between lives once divided by fear, distance, and silence. The cup's weight is symbolic, unspoken, deeply carried. The hall empties by evening. October light fades slowly through rain-streaked windows, brushing wood floors with a muted glow. Folding chairs are stacked, letters return to envelopes, photographs placed carefully in boxes. The enamel cup remains on the table, crack visible under fading light, ordinary yet monumental in its presence. Objects rarely survive wars because they are strong. They survive because someone once decided to preserve them. Its existence is deliberate, fragile, and resilient all at once. Hands that once gripped it trembled with fear, now steady with memory and quiet recognition. Outside, the paved road stretches past the hall, sunlight dwindling into evening. Sachiko Mori and Yumi Tanaka walk slowly, side by side, their steps measured and unhurried. They are older, hair-streaked gray, clothing carrying the weight of decades, yet their pace reflects neither fatigue nor hurry. Conversation is minimal, whispers reserved for small observations. A bird in a tree, leaves rustling, breeze brushing against scarves and sleeves. Memory fills silence with subtle echoes of mornings once lived in fear, now transformed into ordinary continuity. The cup stays behind, on the table where it has rested, silent again. It no longer belongs to any one person, yet its presence is felt, a tangible anchor. It has finished its work, having carried decades of subtle history, small acts of care and patient endurance. Its survival is testament to deliberate preservation, not power, not war, not circumstance. Objects endure when attention is given, when hands choose to cradle rather than discard, when moments are acknowledged quietly and faithfully. The women leave together, walking without urgency. Each step is measured, echoing faintly on the paved road, a sound of life continuing after fear, after repetition, after uncertainty. Memory lingers in their minds, but it is no longer oppressive. It is steady, woven into the rhythm of breath, movement, and small gestures. The cup remains behind, a silent witness, having carried what words could not. History will record dates, locations, outcomes. It will not note the faint warmth of porridge in enamel, the metallic clink echoing across dirt, or the subtle relief of hands unburdened by loss. These are details left to memory, to touch, to quiet understanding. The enamel cup holds these moments silently, enduring long after daily fears have passed, bridging human experience across years and generations. Objects rarely endure because they are needed. They endure because someone once chose to carry them, to preserve their presence, and to honor subtle acts of care. The cup now rests, ordinary yet monumental, a vessel of memory beyond words. Its survival is deliberate, faithful, and quiet. Sometimes the smallest object carries the longest memory. Sometimes survival is not measured by what is given, but by what is expected and never taken. Its quiet endurance reminds us, attention, care, and presence outlast fear, loss, and even time itself. Every hand that once held it, every sip, every touch, echoes in silence. Respect the moments that seem small. They are the ones that endure.